Guys, it's update time on the Chevy. So here's where we're at right now and so far. All right. Here's the old motor. This is the original 235. It runs perfectly. It was sucking in transmission fluid, which is why it was smoking. And, I mean, yeah, it runs flawlessly. It does leak oil, but that's easy enough to fix. But the oil pressure's still perfect and everything. And if I knew it was just sucking in trans fluid, I would have stuck with it. But anyway, here's the new motor in here. This is the 58 truck 235 that's in my other videos. Got my dual exhaust manifold on there. Got the original valve cover. Repainted it, of course, because it used to look real crummy. Got the valves all adjusted. Got the water pump on with the adapter plate. Can't really see the adapter plate too well, but there it is. Anyway, I had to cut my alternator bracket. I don't know if that'll show up at all. And those tabs where this bolt right here is going through, they were on the other side of this plate. Because on the other motor, it came out that way. So I cut them off and re-welded them on this side. Let's see. This belt right here is 7425 Gates from a place here in town. Cost me 17 bucks. Not a huge deal. Got the original bell crank from the 51 for the throttle. That's for the new oil pressure gauge, because this oil pressure is going to be way higher than the old oil pressure. There's my pipes. I haven't hooked them up. I'm still waiting on the Walton's cross member. Let's see. There's new steering pieces. You can see the tie rod end. This thing, I can never remember the name of that thing, but anyway, I got that from Filling Station. That was $160. I think the tie rod ends were 25 a piece. Let's see if we can see the other tie rod down there. There it is, kind of off the fuel pump. That's the fuel pump off the original motor. This is the draft tube off the original motor, because it has a different bend in it, which I didn't realize. And the 58 was hitting the frame. Got the points and condenser off the original motor because they use the same. Starter in there all hooked up. Coil off the original motor. What else? Original radiator hoses. I did have to use the thermostat housing off the original motor, which is why it's not all nice and black looking. But the radiator hoses are different sizes, I guess. Original fan, of course. I beat the crap out of this radiator putting it back in. Let's see. I think that's all that. Radiator's back in. Had the bumper off. That's back on. The car kind of sits where it was. It might be raised up a tiny bit, but it looks pretty good where it is. No axle still. Here are my new purchase from DC Fab. He welded them up for me. 1/4 inch thick, the right width for the springs, 1.5 inch spacing on the holes. I'm in the process right now of grinding down the axle so I can get them set in when I get my cross member for the trans and tack them in. I was letting it cool down. Here's the old torque tube with 355 gears if anyone's interested. It's for sale. I'm seeing the 411s or 410s or whatever they are going for, without the whole axle, going for $150. So I'll sell this entire thing for $3. I did cut the e-brake cables, but they were frozen up anyway. All good brakes and everything on there. Let's see. New axle. Talked about that. There's the T5 with the shifter. Now, right there, this thing used to curve back a lot more. and the guy whose garage I'm using heated it up with an oxyacetylene torch, and I just pushed on the shifter handle and straightened it up. And I'm going to go a tiny bit more. So let's see. I did have to adjust the seat back a little bit because it was hitting the bench. So that's third. That's how much clearance I have. And I'm sorry, that's third, and that was fourth that I was in. Got a Stuart Warner oil pressure gauge. The oil pressure gauge on this still works, but I wanted to put the new gauge in. Clutch pedal's super tight. So I don't know if that's the spring or what the cause of that is, but I'll figure all that out. New steering wheel is on and painted. Looks a little out of place with the rest of the dash because it's all shiny and nice. Got my tack set right there in the middle. So just a quick glance that way. See, the oil pressure gauge isn't going to be used, so it's not a big deal. But I can see the battery gauge. Quick glance that way, I can see the speedometer. Quick glance down, I can see the oil pressure. Got to cut the hole in that plate right there, which covers this gigantic hole. That's the transmission, of course. Yeah, that's it. So just figured I'd give you all the update real fast. And my flash just turned off, so we got no light now. Of course I'm gonna get this put back to where it's supposed to be. And yeah, then I got new glass for the driver's side, and I got new glass for this. I got new weather seals and all that for all that stuff. And I think that's about it for now. All right. I'll make another one when I get the axle and cross member in.